Hi guys, it's me, Tota Krishna Hema. Today I would like to discuss with you on ISO 9001 2015. It's an overview session. Let's go into the topic. So these are the learning objectives like provide a background knowledge on ISO 9001, gain an overview of ISO 9001 structure, and understand the audit approach, gather useful information or the tips on handling on an audit session. So about ISO 9001, ISO stands for International Organization for Standardization, and ISO is a Greek word which means equal or same. ISO 9001 is the world's most popular used standard for QMS or quality management system. So covers any organization, whether the size, industry, and culture, focuses on meeting customer requirements and other interested parties. So I have started my career with this ISO 9001. So this is my favorite standard. I can say like it is the most popular as well. If it is the beginning, like if you want to have a quality management system which is of organizational stand or see throughout the organization, if you are maintaining one standard, so then it would be easy for you to get a ISO 9001 certification. So let us go into furthermore. So these are the 7 quality management principles. So the first one is customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, evidence based decision making, relationship management. So these are the core areas. Like based on these things, our entire the quality management system of QM of 9001 ISO 9001 is built upon. So and these are the 3 core pillars, I can say. So these 3 approaches which goes hand in hand with each other. So these 3 are PDCA, that is plan, do, check, act. So everything will have a iteration. So this 4-step management system, which is also called as Deming cycle. So in any product, you have to plan, or any project, like you have to plan the project, you have to execute or develop it, and you have to ensure, like whatever the product you have developed is up to the mark. Like you will test, review, and all. You will measure the metrics as well. So then you will act on it. This is the 4th step. So where did I miss it, or how to improve? This all comes into act. So all this PDCA approach talks about it. And the process approach is, process is nothing but a set of input activities. If you give to the proper machine or a method, or a mechanism, so it will give a proper output. So to be in simple way, like which transforms input to the output, I can. And the third thing is risk based thinking. So risk is an effect of uncertainty. This is a basic definition of risk. So for me, it is a potential issue. So risk may be a positive or negative. So risk may not be negative always, like sometimes it is positive as well. Because if you are able to find out an issue prior ahead, then it will turn into an opportunity, so which will bring in a new business choice, so new business opportunity, or from the same customer or the similar customers you can approach on. So when you are able to see the future, this is risk is nothing but it's a potential problem. So see that, then where there is a problem or where is a challenge, like you can have a new opportunity. So this is how the risk may be positive or negative. So often characterized by reference to potential events, often expressed in terms of the consequences of an event and the associated likelihood of occurrence. So understanding risk, risk is applicable for, so I will do another video on how to identify risk in projects. So I have a lot of material on this particular concept called risk. So wherein like these risk is applicable to anything, but wherein like I have listed a few things like project or product, services, processes, supplier or provider, customer, environment, employee, competition. So from bottom to top. So if it is competition related, so in the market, like you have a competitors, and you have to identify, like you have to properly bid, and based on the quality and quantity of your organization with the and you have to compete with them. So you have to think in your mind, like this concept, competition, your competitors, you should think in your mind, and your employee employee benefit, or how to monitor them, how to manage them. This all you have to take into your consideration. Environment, work environment, or this operational environment, infrastructure, everything will come into the picture. The customer, so the customer, which business is he into, and what is his interest, and how can we satisfy them. And supplier, like how come this particular supplier can be able to provide our requirement, we have to decide on. And the process, like what sort of process is properly required for our particular product. And the services is like what sort of service we are providing to the customer, and what are the risks associated with them. And the product or the project, so while we are operating, while we are planning it, while we are operating it, and while we are finishing it, releasing it to the customer, what sort of risks we can face, and we have to think on, and we have to find out it. So we have, so this is the overall slide, like which has ISO 9001 2015 has 10 clauses. So each and every part of it, like it starts with scope, normative reference, terms and conditions. And I've listed it from fourth clause onwards because these three clauses are not so important. And fourth clause talks about context of the organization. So it talks about the understanding the needs and expectations of the interested parties. In ISO 9001 2015, so the customer or the suppliers or the stakeholders is replaced with the term called interested parties. So it would be the more generic term for all the people. So they have replaced it with. And the scope definition of the QMS, so on what basis we are defining defining our QMS, like what product we are or what services we are able to providing. And based on that, we have to define the QMS and its processes. How we have to define? So if you are new to the process definition, and if you are starting with the QMS definition through ISO 9001, so we will start with interviewing the practitioners. So we have all the resources in place. So they will be working, they are actually working in the environment. So they might be practicing some things before only. Then we have to start with interviewing people, and we have to document them, like whatever their inputs is. And we have to do the gap analysis, like what is the delta between the ISO 9001 recommendation and these people are following it up. And we will come up with a new set of processes, and we have to train the people on the new additions to the process. So if you have an existing process but which is not certified to the ISO 9001, then we will start with gap analysis and then training people on new additions through this ISO 9001. So fifth clause talks about leadership. It talks about leadership and their commitment towards it. So it's like when there is no interest from the top management or the leadership, so we cannot be able to implement this particular quality management system. So if you say something, then the employees will say, like no, it is not told by my manager, or it is not recommended by the top management or the CEO. These things, these kind of things, they will say it as an exception. So because of it, like leadership and commitment is very important. And then we will, and then it is customer focus. So what customer is interested in and how to satisfy him. So these sort of things. And definition of quality policy. So quality policy, it's a small paragraph, so which has the strategy framework for quality objectives, like how to get get it addressed, or the commitment to satisfy applicable requirements. These things will be there in 4 lines, 3 to 4 lines, or a small paragraph, so which covers the entire thing. So basically this quality policy is get extracted from your first. You will have a vision statement, so by 20 years, so you will be able to I can see this organization. So this organization at this particular so by 20 sorry, by 20 now it is 2020. So by another 15-20 years, or 2040, so my organization, so I will have this much revenue, or I will make this as the first point of contact for this particular kind of services or the product. This we have to define in a vision statement, and then how to approach it is a mission statement, and the quality policy is it's a further granularizing approach on these all, like how we can implement, how we can get the quality objectives, and what is the strategy of the organization to get it, and the commitment to satisfy the whatever the defined applicable requirements. So this clause also talks about the continual improvement and the communication of this quality policy across the organization. So you might have seen the quality policy, which is stick to your cubicles, or it may be framed out, and it may be hanged in and around your organization walls, and it will also have the roles and responsibilities, and even authorities too. Means like authority means who will have an authority to approve something, or these kind of things. So we will have complete RACI matrix so in place to satisfy this particular clause. So sixth clause is planning. So action to address risks and opportunities. So the entire 9001 is as I said, the three core pillars I told, right? So PDCA, process approach, and the risk approach. So first of all, we have to find out the risks and opportunities as a part of planning. So while we are planning it, so it may be the organizational wide planning, or so we have to define the quality objectives, like in order to meet your business objectives, you have to bring in these two together and plan accordingly, and planning to achieve them, like how to achieve, like we have to granularize further, and we have to say, like by 1 month I can do this much extent, or the other month we can do. So this annual planning and all will come into this picture, and the planning for changes, like if you have any changes to the to your planning in case of changes, means like in this environment, in this changing environment, in this changing revolutionary environment. So the technology day by day it gets changes. So as we have to move on, and we have to plan accordingly to implement the changes in the technology, and whatever we have to bring into our organization. So this I'm finished with this planning, and we have to 7 talks about resources. 7 talks about resources, and this is resources is people. It talks about your human resources, infrastructure, operational environment, monitoring and measurement of resources, like this particular resource is deployed to this environment, this client environment, or this particular resource is working in this particular project, or your laptop, or is identified with a particular unique ID, and it can be traceable to. So all sort of resources, all sort of, even your seat allocation or the work environment allocation is also part of this called 7th clause called resources. So it is and it also talks about the measurement, traceability, measurement, traceability, and organizational knowledge, competence, awareness, support, this communication, and documentation, documented information, creating and updating. We used to have a clause called ISO 9001 in 2008. We have a control of records and control of documents in fourth clause, but wherein that particular thing is moved to this clause number 7 called support. In this we have creating and updating and even control of document and information. So how much time we have to keep this particular information with us, and after that what is the way to dismantle it, or what is the way to shred the documentation, if it is hard copy, if it is soft copy, then how to deal it with. And this is how it is. And eighth clause talks about operation. Operation planning and control. So this entire operation talks about your RDCT thing: requirement, design, code, and test. So I can say RDCT in the place of operation, but to be in detail, like operation planning and control will come into the picture, and requirements of products and services. So every time it is repeated, like products and services, to be more generic, because before it was like it was in a different way, like, but now this is more generic way. And design and the development of products and services with changes. So when there is any change in design, and while they are implementing, so, and development, so this they have this is nothing but change management or something. And the control, no, it is only with respect to the design and development changes. So control of externally provided processes and services, control of then information for external providers. So it is like we have vendors or suppliers, right? So those, how we are going to monitor them, how we are going to manage them, at what frequency you will get a status report from them, and what is the approach to, what sort of things you will provide to them, and what sort of things you will get from them, and the frequencies, everything will get addressed in this particular clause. And we have products and production and service provision. This talks about, see, in it, when you're working in a software environment, so you always think about your particular project. But wherein, like, if you are working in a product environment, so you have to get in, you have to think in a way, like, in terms of mass production, and what sort of service we have to provide, and identification, traceability. So we have a traceability talk here also, like we have unique identification numbers should be there for all the work products, and the traceability should be there, and the preservation mechanism, like how you are going to preserve your particular if it is code, where you are storing it, how what is the back frequency, and how you are going to retrieve the data. Wherein if you have a hardware thing, then what temperature you have to store, and how it is like the preservation, and the post delivery activities. So how you are going to support them, support your customers or the end customers, if you are supporting a retail vendor or retail customer. And the control of changes, this is called change management here. So this is entire change management of the particular project or the product. And the release of products and services, it talks about release notes, release audits, and how you are going to control the entire release things. And the control of non-conforming outputs, so how you are dealing with the non-conforming outputs of the particular project or the product. So ninth clause talks about the performance evaluation. So it talks about monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. So it talks about the metrics part. So it talks about the metric definition. So how you are going to get the metric data, and how you are going to analyze the data. And it talks about the customer satisfaction. So this is very important thing, like customer satisfaction survey is like CSAT survey, we always say, plus our customer scorecards, like we will get a feedback from the customer on our support, or the on our service provision, on our products. So if it is if it is retail customer, then we will conduct a market survey on how a particular laptop is working, on how our particular car is working. So this kind of information we will get from the retail customers, wherein if you have a particular point of contact at the company as a customer, then you will send a formal email like who's a point of contact, like who he is satisfied or not with our services. So this kind of information we will get in analysis and evaluation of this CSAT and internal auditing in the management review. So management review is nothing but a status call to the top management or the leadership people on what exactly the company is doing. So the entire support group, like your human resources, facilities, or your finance or the purchase department, along with the engineering people. So all these people will come into picture and they will project like this is the budget we have, and these are all the projects we have, and this is the revenue we have generated, and these are all the facilities we have biometrics, or we have in work environment we have provided this pantry services, or these all information will be provided in the management review. So along with the project information, so this is the business we have, and this is the customer feedback, and we will have one slide for each and every customer or the project in case of small organizations. So what about improvement? So improvement is about non-conformity. Non-conformance is nothing but if something is not as defined, this is called non-conformity. And non-conformity and corrective action, it deals with the improvement clause number 10. So improvement is nothing but, so now we are generating a revenue of $10 million. So by next year we have to generate another if another 10.5 or 11 million at least. So day by day we have to improve in terms of revenue and even in terms of the quality of the process. So we have to get the reputation of the world, like this company, if you give your project, so they will perform excellent. So that sort of reputation you have to get. So as a part of improvement, you have to continually improve, like you have to focus on the continuous improvement. So being most of you who are listening to this, so you might be facing an audit, or you might be worried about the upcoming 9001 audit. So what are the types of audit? So this is first party audit, or the internal audit, or the audit which is conducted by the internal persons of the organization, inside organization. The second party audit is like by external organizations, like your clients, if they come and do a supplier audit. So for the clients, we will be suppliers, right? So they will have a supplier monitoring checklist, or the audit checklist. So they'll come up and they will do a audit our premises, like how secure we are, or how we are monitoring, how we are managing their tasks in the work environment. Generally in terms of security it will be. And the third party audits are the certification audit, which is by for this ISO or CMMI or ASPICE or any other things. So the third party auditors may be like TUV or BSI or DNV, or this kind of certification third party audits will be there. Audit terminology, so who is auditor? Who conducts audit or who takes the interview of the auditee. Audit is the person who faces it. Who is the representative of that particular function or the division or the department, I can say. So he is the representative of it, and the audit team is like one or more person who conducts audit. So what about audit stages of certification audit? So stage 1 audit, it is about somebody from the certification company will come and have an insight into the management system, and they will evaluate the documentation. So they will do a formal gap analysis kind of thing. They will go through line by line of our documentation, and they will validate like it is in adherence, or it is in with respect to the standard ISO 9001 standard. Stage 2 is like to confirm that the management system conforms to all requirements of standard, statutory and regulatory applicable to the organization. So this means like it is a formal audit, it is a certification audit. So which in here we have to, in stage 1 we will not show any samples or any projects to the certification body, but where in stage 2 we will show the implementation in some sample projects, like 1 or 2 projects we will show that in these 2 projects we are executing, but the entire organization will get certified, because the auditor will pick, the external person will pick sample. So we have these many projects, so if you give 10 projects, 15 projects, so he will pick a sample out of it, 2 samples out of it, and he will audit it. And what is the frequency of this audit? Every year we will have a surveillance audit. Surveillance audit is about is for implementation part. So are they really implementing it? And once in 3 years we will have a recertification audit. In recertification audit the same process will go on, but it will be little tough when compared to surveillance audit. So it is recertification is happens every 3 years. So as an auditee, like when you are facing an audit, so be honest and don't lie. It's okay to say I don't know. So nobody in the world like who knows everything. So let the person doing job answer the question. So if you are the department head, then if the auditor asks you a particular question, so that particular whoever is implementing that process, or the he need to answer. So instead of you, so it would be good like if that particular junior person is answering the question, and give only sufficient information. So don't give too much information to the auditor, so which leads to more questions, and reduce the number of visitors or contractors on the day of audit. So if you allow more and more people, then the auditor will get into more questions. So thank you. This is Tota Krishna Hema once again. So please write to me if you have any doubts at askhematota@gmail.com, or you can comment here in the comment section, and subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Thank you.